Bubsy in Claws Encounters of the Furred Kind was the first entry into the short series of Bubsy games. It was released in 1993 on the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. The game was published and developed by Accolade. Accolade didn't really have any hit titles, but it did produce a number of smaller DOS games, for instance Test Drive. The company did publish 2 Elvira games, and if you'd like to see more on those games, take a look at a video by Retro Island Gaming. Bubsy is typically mentioned when talking about bad mascot character games. I actually remember renting it as a kid after seeing it in Nintendo Power and remembering it wasn't really that bad of a game. So the animosity for this title actually surprised me a little bit. That was until I played it again. Bubsy at its core is a side-scrolling platform game just like many other 8-bit and 16-bit titles. But the game immediately falls apart when you play it due to a number of factors. The level design is bad, and the game's physics are even worse. The game really feels like an awful attempt at making a Sonic the Hedgehog style platform. This actually makes sense as the game's designer Michael Berlin, while looking for inspiration for the game, played Sonic the Hedgehog for 14 hours a day for a week. Bubsy does have a strong Sonic feel where the steepness of a hill will affect how fast you'll run against it. The game also feels fast like Sonic, however if you just race through the levels, it's extremely easy to get yourself killed, making Bubsy a very slow-paced game that's capable of moving fast. Where the game begins to fail the most in the Sonic mold is when you begin introducing jump physics into the game. Almost constantly on every level you'll feel some force pulling your character in a direction you don't want him to go. This happens almost for no reason and at any time and makes platforming a complete nightmare in this game. Often in attempts to jump forward you'll suddenly lose most of your momentum and be pulled back, or sometimes the opposite will happen and you're pulled forward against your will, even though you're fighting it on the controller. It's hard to explain without playing it, but it's one of the absolute most awful things about this game. To add to the horrible movement, the game has terrible level design. They start out fairly straightforward and overall boring, and become more and more confusing as you progress through the game. The game makes strong use of doors that'll transport you to other parts of the level, and in the latter levels it becomes extremely hard to figure out where you're actually supposed to go. Many of the levels are bright and colorful, but running around on a roller coaster and on rooftops has never been this painful. Many of the obstacles on the levels feature tons of cheap deaths, including many pathways that'll lead you to dead ends, many jumps where you can't see where you're going and will kill you when you land. Bubsy also uses one-hit deaths, so you'll find yourself constantly dying, and there's nothing aside from a few power-ups that'll guard you from that. The power-ups themselves are few and far between, and are barely worth mentioning. They come in the form of shirts that are either colored, which will give you the invincibility or invisibility, or ones with numbers on them, which will give you extra lives. The game even kills you if you fall from too high, which is an awesome feature to have in a platforming game where most of the time you're jumping from place to place. To make the constant deaths even worse, every time you die it reloads the stage and Bubby says one of his stupid catchphrases before each level.
Hey, I thought I saw Elvis back there. Go ahead, make my day. Is there a veterinarian in the audience? Did I mention I don't like heights? Well, are you still playing this thing?
To be honest, the only real redeeming feature of this game is it is quite challenging. However, not challenging in a fun way. It's challenging in a frustrating way that gives you no desire to continue playing it. Nothing he says is witty, and everything he says makes you want to kill Bubsy. This game is absolutely painful to play, and there really isn't any reason you should play this. Whoa, hold up. That series is over. We're only doing reviews here now. So the graphics are colorful, but they don't stand out as amazing over anything else on the Super Nintendo, and the game's music is tolerable, and it's probably one of the better parts of the game, but it's overall pretty forgettable. Overall, Bubsy sucks. It sucks in basically every way possible, with the exception of passable graphics and audio, and every element of its gameplay is just a frustrating mess that should be avoided at all costs. Bubsy is without a doubt just as bad as everyone says, and it is just a garbage game.
Well, are you still playing this thing?